Here come the drums.
Live from the AM950 studios in the Twin Cities and restrained only by FCC regulations, this is Pardon the Dissent. Now here is your host and agitator, Joey Vincent.
Yes, here I am. I'm in your ears through the magic of electronics that I don't understand. For some reason, my voice is traveling through the air, and it's hitting your radio antenna, and now you're listening to me. Here we are. Pardon the Dissent. Welcome to the show, guys. Today's date, June 1st, the year 2015. And with the exception of Tony Williamette, I'm alone in the studio right now. There's no Robert and there's no Liz. It's just me here for you. And reason that is we're doing a pre-recorded interview as part of the show, and it's going to fill up a lot of content there. So we're just going to talk a little bit. The first couple segments here is going to be a pre-recorded interview with a gentleman by the name of Andrew Henderson. He is with Minnesota Cop Block. He has made national news recently about his exploits and keeping tabs on the St. Paul Police Department. So you'll hear that in the third and fourth segment, and then we'll come back on live and say bye to you in the last segment. So it's just going to be us. That's going to be actually going to be something we're going to kind of experiment here. We're still trying to figure out the whole the show and the show format and what combinations work the best. So maybe we'll do a lot of rotating where it's going to be just me for a couple shows, maybe just me and Rob for a couple shows, maybe me and Liz for a couple shows. Just kind of feel what chemistry works the best, and feel free to give your 2 cents on that as well, too. Before I go any farther, don't forget we have wonderful sponsors that make the show happen. Couldn't do it without their support. Number one, our title sponsor, Bell Bonds Doctor. They are definitely the key to keeping us going. Along with them, we also have natural, pure drinking water, the only water that I drink, and Minnehaha Recording Company. Those are the guys that keep us going here. So please support them if you enjoy the show. And what else? Oh, yeah, if we want to make a phone, we're only going to take phone calls like for the first 20 minutes. So if somebody wants to make a phone call, this is the time to do it. Call us at 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205 here at the AM950 studio, and we'll talk to you about whatever, really. Here's what I did, what was it, Sunday, I guess. Myself, along with Robert Burrell, and Ian Levitt. Ian Levitt, if you don't know, Ian is the host of the Daily Report here on AM950 from 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. We all went to South Minneapolis and went to go see Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was here in the Twin Cities, making a little campaign stop, doing his speech and so forth. And it was, I have to admit, it was really good. What had originally happened was he announced he was going to do a stop here in the Twin Cities, and they were going to be in downtown Minneapolis, and they were going to have about 500 seats. Well, once they announced it, about an hour later, all those seats were full, and they had to move it to somewhere else. So they moved it to South Minneapolis, and I'm forgetting the Native American Center, the exact name of it, but that's where they held it at. And there ended up being over 3,000 people, close to 4,000 people showed up at this very, poorly, not poorly as in they didn't try very hard, but not, they didn't invest a lot of time promoting it. But nearly 4,000 people showed up. It was pretty powerful. A lot of 4,000 really, really good people. And it was kind of crazy. It was a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy, and we heard his spiel. I don't want to talk too much about Bernie Sanders right now because I know Robert and I kind of want to talk about that together. So I'm going to wait to an episode when he's back on here. But just so you know, do I support Bernie Sanders? No, not yet. I don't yet. You're talking to somebody who's actually kind of given up on voting to a degree. So I don't. It's hard for me even to consider the idea of voting right now. But that being said, a lot of things that Bernie Sanders says has got me thinking about it again, going back to the voting booth and trying again. There's a lot of things about Bernie Sanders that I like. There's also a lot of questions that I have about Bernie Sanders, specifically about his position on Palestine, as well as some of the U.S. foreign policy issues.
His birth certificate as well?
Yes, I would like to see his birth certificate. I would definitely like to find out that he is a born somewhere around here.
I want it immediately.
I could care less who he was born in. I don't care. We should start shipping in our presidents from like foreign countries because some foreign countries are doing a lot better than we are. Who knows? But whatever. We'll talk about when Robert's back. We'll talk about Bernie Sanders quite a bit. But I'll tell you what. One thing I will tell you though is a lot of things that I like about him are probably drawing the negative attention of a lot of very rich people right now. And I don't know, man. If I was Bernie Sanders, I'd probably be worried about getting JFK'd right about now. I know he's talking about taking some money away from a lot of very wealthy people in this world, and this country specifically. And I'm pretty sure that's not making a lot of people happy. So we'll see how that goes. What else do we have here? How much time do we got? About a minute. I did have an email that we received after the show last week that I wanted to share with you. And if you guys want to email, please do. And besides from calling in, you can email us and tell us you like us, tell us you hate us, and that's pardonthedissent@gmail.com. Here's this email I got, though, the other day. Hey, guys. I've been an AM950 listener for about 3 years, and I have to tell you, Pardon the Dissent is a great addition. You guys mentioned becoming a 5-day-a-week show. How soon will that happen? Yeah, that is my long-term plan. It's something I would like to do, and it's just basically becomes an economic thing. If there's enough demand for the show, then we can afford to do it more. So I appreciate you asking about that. And he signs off, keep seeking the truth, Rich, from Minneapolis. So thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it. All right. So when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about the after effects, the still ongoing after effects of the BP oil spill. Right here on Pardon the Dissent. Wake up with screams. Sounds of
Hello?
Oh, man, I'm really in a world of hurt now.
Really? How long have you been there?
I don't really know, but I have to be at work tomorrow.
Oh, man, you gotta call the doctor.
Really? But it's so late, and doctors make me nervous. Maybe I should just wait here and see if this gets any better.
No, trust me. The bail bonds doctor is always the best option, and he's available 24/7. Unlike other bail bondsmen, this guy is extremely trustworthy and professional. He can get you out in no time. Give him a call.
One day, even you could find yourself needing the help of a bail bond service. That's why you should know there is a professional, dependable, and affordable option. Bail Bonds Doctor. Before you find yourself in this position, put this number in your phone, 612-332-3030. Available 24/7 at 612-332-3030. Online at bailbondsdoctor.com. The doctor is in when you need to get out.
We want to hear from you, so get connected to Pardon the Dissent. You can find us on Facebook by searching for Pardon the Dissent. Follow us on Twitter at PT Dissent. Email us at pardonthedissent@gmail.com and visit our website, pardonthedissent.com.
Be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro.
Yeah, but the revolution might be on AM radio. It might be right here on Pardon the Dissent. That might be where the revolution's going to be, huh? I promise you guys, if the revolution ever does kick off, I'm going to immediately come to the station and start talking into a microphone and leading it from inside AM950. Is that good? Will that work? Okay, good. Real fast, let me tell you about this sponsor, Bail Bonds Doctor. Let me tell you about that real fast. Bail Bonds Doctor, again, our title sponsor. And if you're not familiar with the bail bond industry, what it is sometimes, good people, bad people, they go to jail, right? You break a law here and there. You miss a court date for a speeding ticket. A warrant gets put out for your arrest, and then lo and behold, you go to jail. Well, I'll tell you what, you don't want to be in jail. It's not a place to be. I know this from experience, so we'll talk about that later. But you want to get out. And what do you do when you get out? You call a bail bondsman, and the one you need to call is Bail Bonds Doctor. They have many, many years in the bail industry. They are a very trusting company. They are a very experienced company. They are professional, and they are going to work with you and get you or your loved one out of jail immediately to the best of their ability. So if you want more information on their company and how their company works, please go to bailbondsdoctor.com. Again, that's bailbondsdoctor.com, or you can just give them a call directly at 612-332-3030. Bail Bonds Doctor. Thank you for sponsoring us. All right, here is the first story that I want to get into. Tony, this is another one of those ones where I need you to ride the dump button with your finger because I'm so angry about the story. We talked about the BP oil spill on the Filter Free America podcast. That was one of our more popular episodes, and I was angry then, and I'm more angry now. This is a story I've got from Public Radio International. The headline, New Study Links Unprecedented Dolphin Deaths with 2010 Deepwater Horizon Spill. It appears that no amount of cleaning can fix the long-term effects of the oil contamination in fragile coastal habitats. While officials in Santa Barbara, California, continue efforts to clean up from this month's oil spill. I love how they say this month's. It's like it's already ingrained in our head, though. It's just a common thing now, guys. Just another oil spill. This is this month's. Scientists say they now can definitively link the deaths of an unprecedented number of bottlenose dolphins to the BP Deepwater Horizon disaster of 2010. In case you've forgotten, that is the largest offshore oil spill in U.S. history. Yay. Along the northern Gulf coast of Mexico, dolphins have been found dead with severe lesions in their lungs and damage to their adrenal cortex. That is the region of the brain that regulates essential bodily functions like metabolism and blood pressure, among other things. In a new peer-reviewed study, researchers say that the symptoms associated with the unusual mortality event are caused by swimming in contaminated waters. Hey. This is a quote here. This mortality event has lasted longer than any other mortality event in the Gulf of Mexico on record, says Kathleen Colgrove. She is the study's lead veterinarian pathologist. The investigation was carried out by Colgrove and her colleagues and is part of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Deepwater Horizon Natural Resource Damage Assessment. It's a lot of words, which has been ongoing since the oil spill. All right, she's an expert. This is what she does. But, stop the presses, ladies and gentlemen. Though Colgrove says the dolphins studied have some of the most severe lung lesions she's seen in her 13 years examining dead dolphin tissue, BP disagrees with this research. Really? You disagree? This is a quote from BP. Somebody, doesn't even have his name, so some schmuck in a tie. The data we've seen thus far, including the new study from NOAA, do not show that oil from Deepwater Horizon accident caused this increase in dolphin mortality, the company said in a statement. Because I guess apparently now BP has dolphin experts on staff now, guys. Right? They know what causes this stuff, right? Not only do they dig holes in the ground and in the ocean floor, they study dolphins part-time, apparently. And they know more than this lady. If corporations are people, as the Supreme Court tells us they are, why is BP not in prison right now? If I, as a person, cause as much death and destruction as BP, they would have me in a prison cell right now behind bars, and I would be calling bail bonds doctor to come get me out. That's what I would be doing.
Good one.
Right?
Working them in.
Right? I can plug and rant at the same time.
That's what I like about you.
I can do both. But seriously, if you commit a crime, if you kill something or you destroy something, you're going to get punished for it. Why is not like every BP gas station in the country just like covered with bars right now and like locked up and unable to have business and make money, right? They paid a few fines, right? But they still made a profit. They didn't lose any money, right? Here's what I want to see. We need to have like a corporation prison, right? Like when these corporations do this, like when they do some egregious act where they destroy the environment or they steal from investors or whatever that they do, right? They need to be like in prison, right? Where they can still operate, they can still do stuff, right? But they don't get to make any money. Like any profit that they have, like immediately goes into some fund for like
the fund that pays the cops while they get paid off duty.
Yeah, that's what we need.
They kill black people. That fund.
The Black People Killing Fund. God. We got a phone call. Let's take the phone call real fast. It's Lynette. It's good old Lynette. Lynette.
Hi, Joey.
What's up? Don't stop buying gas at BP, Lynette.
I don't go there. I don't ever go there.
What's on your mind, Lynette? Why not vote? Is that what you're asking me?
Why don't you vote?
I stopped voting the last couple elections because I am one of those kooky guys that thinks that no matter what happens, that we, especially when we're talking about presidents, that we don't really have a choice. That two options that are predetermined by people who have the money, have the power, have the control, put us two options that we get to pretend like we have a choice. And that's where we're at right now. But that being said, Bernie Sanders is the very first candidate I've seen in many presidential elections where I'm actually starting to feel a little bit different, right?
Okay.
So, but that again also is the reason why I don't think he'll ever get in, because if he is real and he is the authentic person that he is, I sense that he is, he will either die, like you said, or he will not get in.
But I think the thing is that we do have to. I don't know. I just feel that we really need to do what feels like the right thing for us to do, and even though.
Well, the right thing for me is I want to kick off a revolution and storm the government and take everybody out who's a criminal and smack them around for a little bit.
Right. Well, and I understand. It's very frustrating. I do get that. But I think that these things are steps, and it might not seem like certain steps like the last election, people don't show up except for the presidential elections, but we really need the people, because even if Bernie Sanders gets in, he can't do anything if all these teabag crazy people are in, because they're going to, like Mitch McConnell said with Barack Obama, he said, we're going to make him a one-term president. So that's the problem, is when people don't show up to vote, those are the crazy people that get in, and it doesn't seem like you're doing anything, but it really does matter. Maybe it's not exactly what you want right now.
I have changed to a degree. I have changed to a degree, and this is pre the show starting, as me and Robert used to go back and forth about this, because I was at the point where I was going to vote on anything. I wasn't even going to step in a booth anymore. The last election I was in the last presidential election, and that was when I voted for the pro-gay marriage.
Gerald Ford.
Ford. So that's where I'm at right now, is like if it's a substantive issue, something that has to do, like the pro-gay marriage, I would vote in that kind of voting type thing. Now, come 2016 election, I don't know yet. Again, Bernie Sanders makes me want to vote for him. Again, I still have questions about him also. I want to know.
But he can't do anything if there's crazy people in there.
Well, that's the thing. As long as there's the money in there, as long as Citizens United is a thing.
The crazy people that got voted in because people didn't show up, that do think, like you, that they got in because people are just like, it doesn't matter. So then they get in. And then that's what we're stuck with, and that's what the president is stuck with. That's what, look at the crazy people our governor has to deal with.
Well, I consider the president one of those people that we're stuck with. He's not the person that he proclaimed to be when he came in.
It's never going to be perfect, okay? It's never going to be. And,
boy,
that's the problem. Is it's good to be idealistic, but it doesn't always match up with with the daily steps of life. And daily steps of life sometimes are boring.
I appreciate your faith, Lynette. I appreciate your faith. Thanks for calling in.
Can I say one more thing?
You make it quick. You got 30 seconds.
Okay. I appreciate that you're talking about jail. I hope you do a show and interview people to talk about how easy it is to go to jail, which is why you want...
I should interview myself. I've been there.
Exactly. So you need to tell your story.
I appreciate it now. We'll make it work.
Okay.
Hold on, give me one right here. Hold on. You don't give money to the bums on the corner with a sign bleeding from their gums. Talking about you don't support a crackhead. What you think happens to the money from your taxes? The government's the addict.
All right, we are back here on Pardon the Dissent, and we are speaking with Andrew Henderson. Andrew has made a lot of news here recently here in the Twin Cities area about some cop blocking he was doing. And I guess first, Andrew, I'm going to get you to define what cop blocking is to me later on, and to the listeners who aren't really familiar with what it is. But why don't really first, want you to start, set up what you were doing the day that you were out shooting video. What were you doing? Where were you at? And why were you doing it?
Well, thanks for having me, Joey.
No problem.
Well, just to start out, I saw a couple of posts on Facebook from the St. Paul Police Department and the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office about their Click It and Ticket campaign. Now, they conducted a sting off of University Avenue where a couple officers would stand on a corner in full uniform and watch drivers drive by. And if they weren't wearing their seatbelts, they'd radio into their buddies to pull them over and issue them citations.
Okay.
And they were very happy about this. They got over $10,000 in citations issued that day. And, I thought to myself, I've seen a lot of officers not wearing seatbelts. So that following Friday, I went down to the Ramsey County Law Enforcement Center, where both the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office and the St. Paul Police Department are located. And I stood on a street corner where the officers come in and out with my video camera to try to capture them not wearing their seatbelts. And I didn't see any officers wearing their seatbelts that day. I recorded many officers.
These are all cops in patrol cars you're looking at? Is this
patrol cars and their own cars?
And their own cars, okay.
Right. I personally decided to cut their own cars out of my video due to concerns of mine for officer safety and privacy.
Right. That makes sense. That's kind of their own time there. If they want to break the law on their own, that's kind of their thing.
Sure. Yeah.
But when they're on the clock for us, that's a little bit of a difference. I want to ask first. Let me ask me this, because I was looking this up last night and I've never thought of it until I saw your video. Do you know if it's legal for first responders, cops, EMS, whatever, to drive without their seatbelt on? Like, I found some discussion forums of cops talking to each other about should we wear it, should we not wear it, and things like, well, it makes it easier for me to get to my firearm if I have to, or easier to jump out of my squad car faster to respond. But I couldn't find anything specifically for the state of Minnesota saying that it was legal or not legal. Do you have an answer for that?
According to Minnesota state law, it is illegal for them to not wear their seatbelts.
So they are required to, just like you and I.
That's right.
Well, as you're in the video, and first tell people where they can find this video to see it. Where can they?
My YouTube channel is www.youtube.com/thedrooks, THEDREWKS.
Okay. And for the podcast listeners, I will put a link to that on the podcast when it goes up. So when you're out there, you had some interactions with the officers who came over to kind of investigate what was going on. And some of them were, I would say, positive.
Oh, yes, very much so, yeah.
Some of them were friendly with you. Some of them knew who you were.
Right.
Okay. There was a turning point, though. There was one where the officer kind of sent you on your way and all that. Can you describe what happened during that interaction with that officer, and what was his concerns, and how that all panned out?
Most definitely. Well, I was standing on the corner, and this officer just came up on me. And
ironically, standing on the corner, just like the cops who were doing their sting operation.
Exactly. And this cop, came up at me, almost pulled up onto the curb, got out of his vehicle, and I asked him, what's up? And at that point in time, he detained me, demanded my driver's license.
And I don't want to graze over that because you specifically asked, and just like anyone should, am I being detained? You asked that very clearly.
Yes, I did.
There's a difference between a cop just talking to you and a cop detaining you. And I heard on the video, he said, no, yes, I'm detaining you.
That's right.
Okay.
Then he asked for my ID. I asked him if that was a lawful order, and he said yes. I gave him my ID. He asked me if I had any warrants, and I was stunned by that because I figured anybody with warrants wouldn't be standing outside of a police station with a camera, and I don't know how he correlated videotaping police to somebody having warrants, but he insinuated that I had warrants because of that. After he ran my license, he got out of his vehicle and started taking pictures of me with a department-issued camera. And after that, he told me that the public sidewalk was private property and that I had to cross the street to be on public property.
Okay. That was another part of it. Did you ever determine if the sidewalks that you were on in the area you were, was it public or private? Have you figured that out yet?
As far as I can tell, it is public property.
It is public property.
Yeah, from any aerial photography, property layouts that people have sent me, I see nothing that says it's private property. It seems to be a public right of way.
Okay. Did he? What charges did he? I'm going to use the word threaten, but that could be something different to somebody else. What did he say he could do to you from that point on if you didn't move, leave, whatever?
Well, he threatened to arrest me for trespassing if I didn't leave.
Okay. Interesting. How about this? Have you decided, or have you done it already? Are you going to file a formal complaint? Because to me, if somebody detains you unlawfully, in my mind, and by definition by the law, they have kidnapped you to a degree. He's preventing your movement. You have a right to free movement. Are you going to file a complaint about that and about the, saying that you were trespassing when you weren't?
Well, I personally don't believe in complaints. The internal affairs process is quite broken. I find that when coworkers and colleagues are allowed to investigate each other, very rarely do they find each other guilty of anything.
Right. Okay. You're absolutely right. I can't argue that at all. What else did I want to ask you about this specifically? How about this? What is then the public's reaction since this video has came out? I'm sure there's probably been some on both sides. Has it been more positive, more negative? What are you getting right now?
I get a lot more positive than negative. I do get a little bit of criticism. People criticize me for showing my ID. And there are a couple reasons I did that. I mean, I know I didn't have to. Mm-hmm. I've been in situations like this before. First reason is because I just wanted to document the police officers not wearing their seatbelts and go home. It was a holiday weekend, a 3-day weekend. I didn't want to spend that weekend in jail. I had some good plans made for that weekend, and they turned out to be awesome. The second reason I did that is to show people that police will lie to you. That's why I asked them those specific questions. Am I being detained? Is it a lawful order that I have to show you my ID? I mean, he lied right there, and it shows the general public that police will lie, and they do lie.
I think you probably made a good decision because, like I said, even though it would be illegal for them to do that or wrong for them to do that, that doesn't stop cops from doing things that are illegal or wrong sometimes. And definitely want to compliment you. I watch a lot of the quote cop blocking videos, and you were very respectful, number one, and very informed. Obviously, you know what you're doing while you're out there. And you handle it right. And I think, would you consider what you're doing a form of activism?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Okay, so you're accomplishing your goal even by giving your ID. Of course, you don't have to, but your goal is to capture that interaction, and so other people can see the right and wrong and what's going on. So I think people that are giving you a hard time for that are just making a big issue out of nothing. Any other negative stuff that stands out to you that people are saying?
No, that's the biggest criticism I've gotten off that.
Okay. No one is saying, hey, leave the cops alone. They got a hard job as it is. Is none of that's coming out?
I get a little bit of that, but, the police work for us, and there's a documented history of police abuse, not only in St. Paul or Minnesota, but in the entire United States.
All right. Well, that music means we need to take a break real fast. So we're going to knock that out, and then we'll be right back here on Pardon the Dissent, and we'll talk more with Andrew Henderson and his cop-blocking adventures.
You support local businesses, so it's time you get to know the locally owned natural pure drinking water. They're a family business that's been providing water for the Twin Cities since 1986. Their water is purified using reverse osmosis, effectively removing chemicals such as salt, magnesium, iron, fluoride, lead, and calcium, as well as bacteria. Their water is also treated with ultraviolet light to protect against all airborne bacteria. Natural pure drinking water carries a variety of BPA-free bottles. Their bottles include 5 gallons, 3 gallons, 2 gallons, and 1 gallon. Servicing their machines every 30 days. This means you have plenty of options when you're providing water for your home or office. Using natural, pure drinking water makes excellent coffee, tea, and ice cubes, and you can find their water at many local retailers. They're online at naturalpuredrinkingwater.com, and be sure to check out their Facebook page. Ask for natural, pure drinking water at your local grocery store and select co-ops.
If you want to listen to Pardon the Dissent, but don't always have time to catch us live, each show is available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. You can also live stream Pardon the Dissent and listen to us no matter where you're at. Just go to pardonthedissent.com and follow the live streaming instructions. All right, we are back here on Pardon the Dissent. Joey Vincent here. Before we get back to our interview, I do want to talk about one of our sponsors real fast. One of our sponsors here at Pardon the Dissent is Minnehaha Recording Company. Minnehaha Recording Company is actually owned and operated by Tony Williamette, the producer of the Pardon the Dissent show. And it's a full-functioning recording studio. If you're interested in recording music, podcasts, or anything like that, you can contact Tony, and he will give you some rates and talk about your project, give you some ideas. Very helpful. I've worked with him not only in this radio show, but also with podcasting as well, too. And you couldn't pick a better person to help you with your project. So if you want to look into that, please go to minnehaharecording.com or just give Tony a call directly, 612-564-8088. Again, that's Minnehaha Recording Company. All right, we are back here on Pardon the Dissent. And we're talking with Andrew Henderson. And are you officially in a cop blocking organization, or how do you?
Well, I am an organizer with Minnesota Cop Block.
With Minnesota Cop Block,
right? Okay. There's quite a few organizers. We're a pretty loose group. No one's in charge of anybody. We all do our own thing, but we all share the same goal and interest, and we work together that way.
Okay. What is it that got you interested? Let's start with this. First, tell everybody who doesn't know what cop blocking is, though I love the name of it. Explain to what is cop blocking. Sure.
Well, cop blocking is videotaping police, asking them questions, holding them accountable for what they do.
Okay. And it's not to be argumentative. That's not to do other than just to kind of be a check and balance with law enforcement.
Exactly. Cop blocking is founded under the premise that badges don't grant extra rights. Police officers shouldn't have any more rights than you and I do. They shouldn't be able to park in handicapped spaces. They should use their blinkers when they're driving. They shouldn't be able to drive without their headlights on.
How about killing unarmed citizens? Should they be allowed to do that?
Of course not.
Okay,
no.
good. Just wanted to make sure, because some cops don't know that. What got you interested in cop blocking?
Well, I was living in the north end of St. Paul. An individual by the name of Eric Hightower was pepper sprayed, and he was being placed under arrest by a St. Paul police officer. During this time, he was laying on the ground, choking on the pepper spray, and the police officer came up and kicked him in the chest. He wasn't aggressing towards the police officer at that point in time or anything.
It's hard to aggress when you're choking and can't breathe.
Right. And shortly after that, when they were placing him in the squad car, they pepper sprayed him in the ear. Now, I saw the citizen captured cell phone video of that incident, and I was like, wow, this stuff really does happen. We've all seen stuff like Rodney King and stuff like that, but it's
prior to this, were you one of those ones that like, no, they're blowing it out of proportion?
I was like, well, it might happen once in a while. There might be, a few bad apples, but then it, happened right in front of me, just down the street from my house. And then after that, I started paying more attention, saw more and more police misconduct, and decided to start filming police interactions with citizens.
Right. And to add to that, I've kind of been in the same situation where you hear about it and you know it exists, but when you see it with your own eyes, you have like an immediate kind of sickness to you. It's like, am I really seeing what I'm seeing? And your brain has to kind of register it because, for so long, growing, I don't know about you, but when I grew up as a kid, kids are cops are the good guys, they're the ones there to protect us. But when you see a cop physically hurting somebody who's not trying to hurt them, and they don't need to do that, it's a very powerful effect beyond just seeing it on a video.
It's a complete paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that there's not any good cops out there. I mean, there's plenty of good cops, but I want to keep everybody accountable, and that's what cop blocking does.
Fair enough. Another one, we're getting a little close on time here, but I want to try and touch on this story here. This is not your first kind of public interaction with on what I'm going to call bad law enforcement, right?
That's right.
Yeah. You had a interaction with law enforcement in 2012?
That's right.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Well, I came home from work one night. I was working second shift. Came home about 11 o'clock at night, and there was a couple deputies escorting an individual along with two paramedics. And I sat down on the bench outside of my apartment to smoke a cigarette before heading inside. And I witnessed the deputies patting down this guy, and so I brought out my video camera to film it. They patted him down. He smoked a cigarette, went in the back of an ambulance. There was no misconduct there, nothing. And then one of the deputies came up to me, asked me what I was doing. I said, "Well, I'm filming." She took the camera right out of my hand.
Like didn't ask for it?
Nope.
Physically
took it out of my hand and said if she ended up on YouTube, she'd be upset. She ended up bringing the camera home with her that night.
Well, first,
sure.
Now you objected to her, right? Did you?
Oh, of course, yes.
You explained to her that what you were doing was legal?
Yep.
What was that conversation?
I told her it was my First Amendment right to film. I was doing nothing wrong.
And her response?
Her response, she just said, "I'm taking this for evidence."
Evidence of? She didn't clarify? That was just her answer?
Yep, just taking this for evidence.
Did she threaten you with a charge or anything at that time?
Not at that time, no. She... And then she ended up taking actually my camera home with her overnight. And I got
that's kind of not chain of evidence policy right there. If it was evidence, that's total violation of it.
Right. And then I went down to the sheriff's office the next day to try to retrieve my camera, and they had no idea about this incident.
Did they have your camera?
They did not have my camera.
They didn't?
They didn't have my camera. They didn't know anything about this incident.
Okay, so what did you do from there?
Well, 10 days later, I got a citation in the mail for disorderly conduct and obstruction of justice. And shortly after that, I went to retrieve my camera from the sheriff's office, and they finally let me have it back. And when I reviewed the footage on the camera, it was all missing.
Of course.
Yes.
Did they have an explanation of why it was missing?
No.
Just magic.
Just magic.
Police magic.
Yeah, police magic.
Final resolution of the whole thing? No charges, no nothing?
Well, no, they charged me. I went through...
I mean, were they eventually dropped, or did you get...
No, I had to go through court. I went through a 16-month trial. Went through,
Are you listening, taxpayers?
Yes.
You're paying for this.
Jury trial, 6-person jury. That lasted 3 days. I was found not guilty. That ACLU stepped in. I had a very good lawyer, so I was...
Did you please tell me that you went through and itemized and found out what start to finish the cost of the taxpayers were?
I found out in the city of Little Canada it was about $8,000 they've
invested in violating your constitutional rights.
Right.
That'd fill a couple potholes, listeners. That would definitely fix the roads with $8,000. I guess before we finish up here, have you, off camera, have you received any threats or harassment from cops since you've been doing what you're doing?
No. The cops have pretty much left me alone. I see them in public. They know me by name. I know them by name. Okay. It's pretty cordial for the most part.
Okay. And are you worried about your safety at all? They may not be, in your face or talking to you or harassing you, but we've got to suspect that there's some cops that are like, I don't like this guy, and I'm going to give him a hard time if I get a chance. Are you worried about that at all?
I am a little. One of my biggest fears is a police officer mistaking my camera for a firearm. That is honestly one of my biggest fears when I go out and do this. Okay.
It's an easy mistake or an easy excuse.
It is.
Even not, and it could be an actual confusing thing to a cop, but it's an easy thing because now we got justification for BB guns and things like that.
Skittles.
So I can imagine, and they just walk. That's crazy. Finish up with a couple more questions here. How about first, what's the advice that you would give to anybody interested in starting cop blocking, and what would you tell them? Kind of the do's and don'ts. A couple little things, words of advice for them.
Well, I'd say first educate yourself on the law. Watch other people's videos, to see how they do with police interactions, and also live stream all of your recordings. The cell phone app that I use is Bamboozer. Okay. It live streams everything you record straight to the web, so that if your cell phone or camera is taken away, there will be a backup on there that the police really can't destroy.
Good advice. And lastly, what is your advice for law enforcement that may actually be listening to this?
Well, my advice for law enforcement is to, behave. Let people record you. If you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to fear.
Very good. And finish up, where can you give your video website again, and any other places you'd like people to seek you out? Sure.
Well, my YouTube is www.youtube.com/thedrooks. Okay. And I have a Facebook, which is facebook.com/thedrooks.
Very good. Andrew, thank you for taking time and coming on the show and talking to us about this.
Very cool. Thank you for having me.
All right, man.
I don't need to be a global citizen, 'cause I'm blessed by nationality. I'm a member of a growing populace. We enforce our popularity. There are things that seem to pull us under, and there are things that drag us down. But there's a power and a vital presence that's lurking all around. We got the American Jesus, see him on the interstate. We've got the American Jesus, he outbuilt the president's estate.
And we're back. Pardon the dissent. Not going to be back very long. The show's almost over. We're back live. I hope you enjoyed that pre-recorded interview that we put together with Andrew Henderson thank you. Thank you very much.
Say thank you very much, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Yeah. Apparently there's 12,000 people in the studio right now clapping. Yeah, we had to. I never explained it in the first part of the show. We had to pre-record it because it actually works while we're on air. So we did that, and that's the way the interview came out. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed that. What do you think about, we want to do some cop blocking now with me, Tony? You want to do some cop blocking? You want
Absolutely.
Go film some cops? See what they're up to? They film us. Again, I want to thank the sponsors for the Pardon the Dissent show. Bell Buns Doctor, thank you very much. Natural Pure Drinking Water, thank you very much. And Tony Williamette's very own Minnehaha Recording Company, thank you very much. Definitely want to thank you to the listeners. Thank you, Rich, for sending in your email. And thank you, special thank you to Lynette, one of our probably I think was our first caller, and definitely a fan of the show and a supporter of the show. So I thank you very much. Listeners, we'll be back next Monday night, 11 p.m. Make sure you're here with us. Keep seeking the truth.
I hang myself